The reason, and that's going to be the first question come to people's mind after the last video, is like, well, why do they want to block or interfere with this part of your brain or your functions? And the answer is actually quite simple, and it goes along with the whole series here that we're putting out, because this is what the programming is about. This is what their direction and why they have to have direction of your perception is all about. Now, the blockage of the pineal gland by calcifying it creates the interference and blockage between your higher consciousness or your higher intellect, and which includes all your basic reasoning powers, your actual consciousness, and what would be, some people would call it your conscious. When we're born, we automatically actually know right from wrong, good from bad. It's built into the DNA in the process, into your system through the pineal gland. You receive the direction of that higher intellect. Now, if that can be interfered with, okay, if that regulator, we'll call it a regulator, that's good. If that regulating process can be interfered with, then what you're left with is what they call the reptilian brain, okay, which is down lower in your stem, what do they call that, not the thyroid, the thalamus. So, yeah, the thalamus. Okay, I'm actually just laying here on the couch. This is just sound recording. I'll put a slideshow with it later or whatever. But while this was fresh on my mind, I wanted to continue explaining why this interference is going on, because from that section of your brain, your instinctual programming is embedded, and that is your fight, what's known as your fight or flight response. Okay, so your fight or flight response is the part that they want to manipulate to control your everything. From there, they can, through fear or the instinct of survival, they can control your emotional states and perceptions of the world around you. Much easier to get in through that doorway than the other doorway. Although they can, at this point in time, they do have the technology, and frankly, they've always had. When I say they, I'm not talking about these mortal men. I'm not talking about the Masons. I'm not talking even about the highest levels of the Jesuits and the real controlling mortals, because each one and every one of these mortal men are just vessels. They're hosts for this army of spirits, the powers and principalities that Jesus talks about, the real battle that's at play here. And these are the true they. The infamous, everyone's, who are they? Well, it depends on what level you're talking about. When I talk about stuff, it's on that deep of a level. These little mortal men and their stupid mortal games, for the most part, don't concern me much. And so, to carry onward, they like to use you as their vessel, okay? And we're going to get into, in the next section, not this one, this will be part 4. Part 5, I think we'll get into some of the teachings of Jesus, and that none of this, a lot of people look at this stuff and think it's either Mystery Babylon, witchcraft type stuff, or New Age, what they call New Age, which New Age isn't. There's nothing new about the New Age movement. But again, I'm not going to get off into tangents here and try to stick to the point. And the point being this response and why they need to control you. There's multiple reasons why, but one of the main reasons that have to do with what we're talking about in your perception and your realities, okay, along your personal journey, is as a mass, there are two different realities that apply. There is a certain amount of objective reality that is basically decided upon by a consensus of the whole. This is what would be considered the common reality. In other words, 16 different people that live on a block in a neighborhood all see a tree in one certain place. They all expect to see it there. They've always known it to be there. Therefore, it is there. Okay, commonly for all of them. These certain details of the common realities of this construction that you know as the material world is part of this strange mystery of God thing, a mystery of the Creator, how He created a common ground for us to be on and interact on and connect on, because that's what we're doing. We're connecting. Whenever you train, whenever you have conversation or interaction is the word I'm looking for, with somebody, you are actually doing a energy transferring process. And it's kind of like two electrons coming around, and they get together in each other's little cloud for a minute, and then they move on. Or sometimes they stick around together. But basically, those people do not become a actual pertinent reality in your objective reality until you invite them in. Okay, and then there's metaphor for that, and inviting the vampires into your home. You've heard that you have to invite them in. Never mind. Anyway, so back to the subject of the pineal gland, the thalamus, the so-called reptilian brain. This is the main method of control of the past in the 20th century. New methods of control have been passed down to the mortals now, to the people, and we do have the actual physical technology to take over from the pineal gland level or frequencies, and literally shut down people like they're robots. I've seen it happen, and we'll get to that when we get later on into sharing some of my personal experiences that led up to this whole series being created in the first place. So, through those fear and flight and responses and those instincts, they can trigger those, and those are sub-automatic responses and programs that most people do not have. Most people have limited control over them. You have to actually be like a shaman or a monk, or a Buddha who spends tons of time in meditation and stuff to concentrate, to control this part of your brain for the most part. Other people take shortcuts, and other people have gifts from the Lord, Creator God, that is given them. So, nevertheless, on the most part, for the masses, this is how they control you. This is how they get you to herd, like a herd mentality, and can sway you in mass through these fight or flight responses. Now, this ties into your subconscious, what's known as your subconscious mind. Okay? The subconscious mind is, you have two parts to your brain. You have, just like a computer, you have a RAM and you have a ROM. And then you have you, which is not actually inside the machine. The machine's just a biological computer. It's mainly, most of the part of it is used for your motor functions, your existence here. There's only a few parts that actually are part of the transmitting, receiving, and perceptive process of your quantum reality. And I'm not going to get into the whole dissection of the brain and all this scientific stuff, and that would take way too much study and more knowledge than I have, as far as more knowledge than I think man has at this point. But the point, they do know, and they are well aware of how creation is created through observation, and therefore how they are also aware of how you, being able to be influenced by outside energies that can be directed towards you, and also ideas, thoughts, spells. Words are spells. That's why it's called spelling. You're spelling words because every time you use words, you're casting spells. Again, it is actually part of the creative process. That's again a whole tie-in with the Word of God, and the Word being so powerful. When you put things in from thought into word, you have begun a manifestation process of bringing an actual thought or idea into a real material manifestation. They know this, and that's why they want to control your thoughts, and they want to control your actions, and they want to control all of your perception. So therefore they know through mass perception control, they can therefore form and shape actual physical reality. That's why you have predictive programming in the media. You have all these ideas. You have this basic, right now we're at a point of, we're doing a culling and a indoctrination system at the same time, and initiation system. They're initiating everyone subconsciously into the secrets. That's why you have the symbols embedded throughout the movies, throughout the media. You have the codes, you have the programming. All this stuff they're programming your little computer. That's what they're doing. And then you will take on, I mean, not necessarily you or all of you. I know some of you are very well awake and aware of these processes I'm now describing. But this is the whole goal of it. And it's just like with their lies, with NASA and this and that. They can get everybody to believe, or a certain number of people to believe in their hearts, because your subconscious, what you believe in your subconscious level, which is a combination of all things taken into place, even the things your conscious mind misses. As you know, your subconscious misses nothing. Everything that goes into your senses is just thrown in there like a barrel of monkeys. And then when you sleep, then the filing system goes to work, and stuff is sorted out logically, illogically, whatever process your brain has, if it's not damaged, or even if it is, like mine. So, anyway, this is the reason why that they are so concerned with the interference with your pineal gland, your third eye, your transmitter, broadcaster, receiver. It is like the core it is the core processor of your whole body machine here. And yes, this takes it up from a quantum level a little bit, because we're talking about two different sciences here. There's the science of God, which is the real reality. Okay, the science of the true creation. The God particle, the ether, the breath of God that holds everything together, that is in everything and throughout everything. And then there is the science of Lucifer, the level of Lucifer, which I was just talking, because he's trying to achieve the godhood. He's trying to steal God's power. That's what the whole story of the Tower of Babylon was about. That's what CERN's about. That's what this whole program is about, is they want to become as God. And the same with all his little minions below him, all the high-ranking Masons and Satanists, and etc., etc., etc. Their apotheosis, that they think they can use Lucifer's light, illumination, and knowledge, and climb that ladder with him to godhood. But they're missing a key element, and they're searching and searching and searching. And I thank you for joining me for this little bitty. We'll continue on soon.